Hey guys, it's Hannah, and you might notice a little something different in this video today, and that's because I got new bookshelves! Look at them. Look at how beautiful they are. There are so many of them now. There are 3 of them now, where I used to only have 2 really short, narrow ones, and there's so much more space. I didn't even realize how many books I had until I had to put them all up on these shelves. So yeah, I got some new bookshelves, and I wanted to share them with you guys, and before anyone asks me, because a few people already have, yes, I will be filming a bookshelf tour that will be coming in January, so after all of the holidays, I will be doing a full tour showing you all of the books that I own, so you can definitely look forward to that in January. So I just wanted to make that little announcement in this video because the backdrop of my videos is going to be very different from now on. But apart from that, the main purpose of this video is that I'm going to be doing a fun little Q&A. I've been really stressed from finals and everything, and I just wanted to do something kind of laid back and fun, so I went to Twitter and I asked you guys to ask me some questions, and many of you did, so I'm going to be answering those today. If you'd like to participate in any future Q&As, you can follow me on Twitter at clockwork_reads, and I will just tweet out that I'm doing a Q&A. So let me know if you would like me to do some more Q&As possibly in the future, if it's something you're interested in. But I have my phone right here with all of the questions, so without any further ado, I'm just gonna get into answering them. So this first question is from Wish Fulfillment, and she asks, what has surprised you the most about booktubing? The thing that really took me by surprise was how much support I received when I started doing this. The amount of people who send me kind, loving, supportive messages every single day is honestly unbelievable to me. Like, I can't even express how much it has meant to me this whole year, because it's been a really difficult year for me, how much that support has meant to me and how much it has helped me through, and I never expected to receive that, and I also never expected that to help me grow so much as a person. It was completely unexpected. I genuinely never expected this many people to, first of all, watch my videos, and this many people to just support me so much. And I get really emotional when I talk about this, so I can't keep going because I will start crying. But it means everything to me. It means the absolute world to me, and I can't even express it properly. So moving on to the next question, it is from Roxy from the Novel Sanctuary, who is one of my best booktube friends. If you guys aren't subscribed to her channel, I will leave it linked down below so you can go and subscribe to her. She's fantastic and she deserves so many more subscribers. I don't care that I'm promoting my friend, she deserves it. And she asked me a few questions. The first one is my perfect Christmas present, and honestly, it's probably books. She also asks the job that I hope to have in the future. Honestly, thinking about the future is kind of terrifying to me as a 19-year-old girl who's just in college, the beginning stages of life. I don't know, the future's horrifying, but I really would love to do something in publishing. That is my goal right now. And then like dream job, if I could do anything ever, probably like YouTubing. If I could make this like my permanent job, like full time, that would be the dream, but I don't really know if that's gonna happen. She also asks my favorite celebrity and my favorite candy. My favorite celebrity is probably, I don't know, I'm not like a huge celebrity person, I'm way more of a character person, but I love Keira Knightley. I think I've watched like every single movie she's ever been in. And also Emma Watson. They're like 2 of my favorite celebrities. And then my favorite candy are Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. They are my absolute favorite candy of all time. During Halloween, I would trade all of my other candy away and just take everyone's Reese's Cups because they were my favorite thing in the world. This next question is from Abby, and she asks, if you could have your own Christmas dinner with 3 book characters, who would they be and why? I could go 2 different ways. I could go with like characters that I want to be my best friends or characters that I'm in love with, but I kind of want to go with characters that I'm in love with right now, so let's do that. I'd probably pick Will Herondale because I love him, Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender because he is my husband, and who would I go with? Who else? Let's go with Gansey from The Raven Cycle because I'm also in love with him. I think having like a Christmas dinner with the 3 of them would just be like perfection for me, so it would be so great. This next question is really funny. It's, if 2016 was a book, what would be the title and the overall plot? Tip, you can go dystopian, it would make sense. It would make perfect sense. I'm definitely going with dystopian. I would probably title 2016 The Mistake. And as for the plot, you can pretty much just take everything that has happened in 2016 and you'll have like a perfect outline. Brexit happened, Donald Trump got elected president of the United States, there are wars going on all over the world, and everything is a complete and utter mess. So yeah, you have your outline right there. There's 2016, the mistake. Someone can just take that and write a book now. This next question is from Ruby Garcia, and she asks, how do you keep up with your reading? Do you read multiple books at a time? I've tried doing it and I just can't. Yes, I do read multiple books at a time, and that is definitely how I keep up with my reading. I've had a lot of people say this to me as well, that they can't read multiple books at one time. It's really difficult for them, and I totally understand that. I don't think it's something that everyone can do, and it's not for everyone, but I do have a couple of tips if you want to try and read more books at one time. My first tip would definitely be to read books in different genres. So I'm almost always reading around 4 to 5 books at the exact same time. So a lot of the time I'll be reading a poetry book while simultaneously reading a fantasy book, a sci-fi book, and a contemporary novel. And then my second biggest tip would be to read in different platforms. So for example, I will almost always be listening to an audiobook while reading a physical book, and then have a book downloaded on my phone. So that also, I think, really helps you keep the books that you're reading distinct from one another, because I know when I turn to the audiobook, that's the story that I was reading on audiobook, so it helps me separate it from the physical book that I'm reading, as well as the ebook that I'm reading. So those would be my 2 biggest tips if you want to try and get into reading multiple books at one time. I think it's a fantastic way to read, and I really do think that's what helps me keep up with my reading and read a lot more. This next question is, what is the worst book that I've read in 2016 so far? I have like 3 books that I really didn't like that I read this year. But if I have to pick one, my least favorite I read this year was probably Me Before You. I didn't end up doing a review on it, and I've talked about it just a couple of times in a few videos on my channel. But yeah, I just had so many problems with this book. I didn't like the way that it represented disability. I didn't like the themes of the story for the most part. I didn't like the writing at all. I just had so many issues with it. So yeah, it was probably the most disappointing book I read this year because I expected to really love it, and also the worst book I read this year. It's my lowest rated book as well. I gave it 1 star. Okay, so this next question is really fun. It's a game, so I'm supposed to match a book to each of these words. The first word is dreamy. I can go with a lot of things for this one because I really like dreamy books, but the first thing that comes to my mind is The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I would pick The Dream Thieves, but I don't own that book, so we're just gonna go with the first one. The next word is malicious. So for malicious, I'm gonna go with Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and it's not just because the 2 words rhyme. Some of the characters in here are very malicious, and they do some malicious things to one another, and some malicious things happen throughout the story, so I think that this is the perfect one for that word. The next word is guttural. For this, I'm gonna go with Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This book is absolutely guttural. I sobbed my eyes out throughout this entire thing. I felt so many emotions, and it's so incredible and absolutely destroyed me. And the last word is fluorescent. For this, I'm gonna go with The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicole Yoon, mostly just because I think the cover of this just defines the word fluorescent. It's really bright, and the pink and orange really make me think of fluorescent lights, and it's just a beautiful cover, so I think it goes perfectly with that word. So this next set of questions are all from Hufflebee, and they asked my favorite character names. So I actually haven't thought about character names that much, but I guess one of my favorite character names is probably Celia Bowen from The Night Circus. I don't know what it is about her name, I just really like it, and I think it's really fitting for her character. I also really love the name Kaz Brecker from the Crooked Kingdom Six of Crows duology. I don't really know what it is, I just like the way that name rolls off the tongue. Oh, and I also really love the name Ava Lavender from The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. I just think her name is so gorgeous. So yeah, those are a few of my favorite character names. I have to give some more thought to that question. They also asked my favorite female characters, and off the top of my head, Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter series, Inej Gaffa from the Six of Crows duology, Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, Celia Bowen from The Night Circus, Blue from The Raven Cycle, and Natasha from The Sun Is Also a Star, who recently became one of my favorite female characters. I know that there are probably more and I'm forgetting someone really important, but those are just the ones that come to the top of my head. And the last thing they asked was to name a random fact about myself, and a random fact about me is that I'm a vegetarian, in case some of you didn't know that. Not super interesting, but it's true. This next question is from Carla, and they asked if there are any diverse books that I've been able to identify with a lot, whether or not I'm part of that same community. I absolutely love this question, and it's something that I've actually been wanting to make a whole video on, because personally for me, finding someone who identifies similarly to I do in any sort of literature or media has been something that I've actually yet to find. So personally, I identify as a person of color because I am Iranian. I was born in the United States, but my parents were both immigrants from Iran, so they had that whole immigrant experience, and I was raised by immigrant parents. And sadly, honestly, to this day, I have yet to find a character who has a similar background as me. So I'm constantly on the search for books that portray characters who I can identify with in terms of identity and experience. So in terms of being in the same community as any of these characters or any of these books, I've unfortunately yet to find that. But there have been some books that I've read where the characters were in a different community than me, yet I've still found a way to truly identify with some aspects of their experience. The first and most prominent one that comes to mind, and I've already talked about this book several times in this video already, but I really, really loved it, and it was very much in part because of this, was Natasha's character from The Sun Is Also a Star. So Natasha is a Jamaican immigrant, and she's an undocumented immigrant, so she is in the United States illegally, and her family is about to be deported back to Jamaica. And while I don't really identify with the immigrant part of it or the undocumented immigrant part of this experience, I really did identify with her character. So obviously I'm not trying to say that I understand the experience of a Jamaican immigrant living in the United States, because I truly do not. But there were aspects of her character and her experience that I could also just relate to in some ways. Being raised by immigrant parents, looking different than the people who go to school with you, dealing with the whole struggle of natural versus straightened hair, as well as the fact that she is not religious and tends to favor science, are all things that I so very much related to within her character. And it was such a gratifying experience for me because, like I said, it is really, really rare for me to find a character that I can identify with on so many different levels. Usually I can read a book and a character will say that they love playing an instrument, and I'll be like, I also love playing instruments. It's something I can relate to this character with. But when it comes to identity, that is something that I feel like is a lot more important to be able to relate to a lot of characters on. And it makes me really sad when it's so difficult for so many people to find a character that they can relate to because of the lack of diversity that we see in a lot of super popular books that are promoted by publishers and booktubers. So I could go way more in depth into that, and I already spent too much time talking about it. I could just make a whole video on this. So if you guys would like to see a video on some of my favorite diverse books, or just some of the books that I have really related to in terms of identity, then definitely let me know and I can absolutely make that recommendations video. Okay, and finally the last question that I'm gonna get to is, how old were you when you first started reading? Okay, so are we talking like when I first learned how to read by myself, or like when my parents were reading to me and I got into reading? Because if that's the case, my mom has been reading books to me since I was like 1 year old, basically, probably even before that. But I know that when I was really young, there were some books that I loved so much that I'd make my mom read them to me every night, to the point where I had memorized them, and then I could just recite the books back to her even though I didn't actually know how to read. But if we're going in terms of when I truly got into reading by myself and it became a big habit of mine, I was in middle school, I believe. I think I was 11 years old when I got super into reading again, and it just became my entire life and consumed everything. Okay, so that is it for all of the questions in the Q&A, but thank you so much to all of you who asked me questions. I absolutely loved answering them. Like I said before, I love doing Q&As. I think they're so much fun to film. I like getting to share a little bit more about myself with you guys because I like it when you know me a little better. I feel like it's more personal, and having personal relationships with you all is an important thing to me, so I want to try and do that as much as I possibly can. But that is it for this video. If there are any of these questions that you also wanted to answer, definitely leave them in the comments down below. Or if there's anything you want to further discuss, you can go ahead and further discuss with me. I would love to continue talking to you all. If you would like to follow me on any of my social media, all of my links are in the description box as always. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!